There is a moment, just one moment, when everything shifts. A moment so small in time, yet so massive in consequence, that eternity itself seems to pause and watch. And he speaks now, not as a distant voice, but as a present witness, Archangel Michael, standing at the edge of this moment, watching the seconds fall like grains of sand through heaven's hands. He says there are only 2 seconds left. Not symbolic seconds, not poetic exaggeration, but a spiritual countdown that has been ticking long before you realized it existed. And now, as your eyes rest on these words, you are standing inside that final moment. You are not early. You are not late. You are exactly where heaven knew you would be. But the urgency cannot be ignored. Something about May 21st hath been written in the unseen. It has been circled, marked, and sealed in a realm your physical eyes cannot access. And yet, your spirit has felt it, hasn't it? That subtle tension, that quiet pull, that unexplainable sense that something is about to happen, but you couldn't quite name it. He sees it. He knows it. And he is not calm. Archangel Michael does not weep without reason. He does not step forward with trembling urgency unless something critical is at stake. And now, he stands, watching, waiting, calling, because what is unfolding is not just about time, it is about obedience. You have been nudged before. You have been warned in whispers. You have felt moments where you knew, deep within, that you were being guided, redirected, even corrected. But something in you hesitated. Something in you delayed. And now, those delays have brought you here to the edge of a moment that cannot be repeated. He is not here to condemn you. No. His voice carries both fire and compassion. But there is a weight in it now, a heaviness that comes when warnings have been ignored for too long. Because this is not just another day. This is a convergence. A crossing point where decisions you made, or avoided, are now meeting consequences that cannot be postponed any longer. And as he watches, he sees not just your present but what is trying to reach you, what is trying to enter your life, what is trying to align with your destiny. And this is where the shock begins. Because while you have been distracted, while you have been uncertain, while you have been questioning your own path, someone powerful has already fixed their attention on you. Yes, someone with influence. Someone with resources. Someone the world would call a billionaire. But what you must understand is this. Their attention is not random. It is not coincidence. It is part of a larger orchestration that heaven had been preparing. And yet that opportunity now stands at the edge of collapse. Not because it was taken from you, but because it is waiting for alignment. This is why Michael weeps. Not out of anger, but out of urgency. Because he sees what could be lost in a single moment of hesitation. He sees what could be missed in just 2 seconds of disobedience. He sees doors that were meant to open beginning to close. And still, he calls. He calls you to awareness. He calls you to stillness. He calls you to listen, not with your ears, but with your spirit. Because right now, everything feels normal on the surface. The world continues. People move. Time flows as it always has. But beneath it all, something is shifting rapidly. Something is aligning or collapsing based on what you choose next. You may not feel ready. You may not understand everything. You may even doubt that this moment is as serious as it sounds. But he says this clearly. You do not need to understand it fully, you only need to respond. Because obedience in moments like this is not about logic. It is about alignment. And alignment must happen now. Not later. Not tomorrow. Not when you feel more prepared. Now. because the countdown is no longer approaching. It has arrived. And the next decision you make, the next thought you entertain, the next action you take will determine whether what is coming toward you becomes a breakthrough or a missed moment that echoes longer than you realize. He is still watching. He is still waiting. And there are only seconds left. Type "I am ready" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2021 is now activated. He does not arrive in silence this time. He does not stand at a distance, observing with quiet patience. No, he steps forward, and there is a tremor in the atmosphere, a shift so subtle yet so undeniable that the spirit recognizes it before the mind can understand it. And as he stands there, Archangel Michael is not just a warrior, he is a witness to your journey, your hesitation, your moments of clarity followed by moments of delay. And now, as the final seconds press in, something rare happens. He weeps, not out of weakness, not out of defeat, but out of mercy that hath been stretched to its limit. He has watched you longer than you realize. He has seen the doors that were prepared for you before you ever reached them. He has seen the whispers sent into your spirit, those quiet nudges that told you to move, to shift, to let go, to step forward. And he has also seen the resistance, the moments you paused when you were meant to act, the times you questioned what you already knew was true, the hesitation that seemed small at the time but now stands as a barrier in this very moment. And still, he did not abandon you. That is why his voice carries both urgency and compassion now. Because this is not a message of rejection. It is a message of rescue. It is a final reach before something slips beyond your grasp. And as he speaks, there is no confusion in his tone. He is not vague. He is not distant. He is direct, because time no longer allows for softness without clarity. He says that disobedience is not always loud. It is not always rebellion in the way you imagine. Sometimes it is simply delay. Sometimes it is knowing what must be done and choosing to wait just a little longer. And that little longer has now brought you here, to a moment where the cost of waiting is no longer small. He does not accuse you. He reveals you. He reveals the pattern, the cycle of almost stepping into alignment, almost making the decision, almost releasing what no longer belongs in your life. And each almost has created distance between where you are and where you were meant to be by now. Not because the path disappeared, but because alignment requires movement, and movement requires trust. This is why he weeps. Because he sees what is still available to you and how close you are to missing it. And yet, even now, his presence is not one of condemnation. It is one of protection. He stands between you and the consequences that are trying to rush forward. He holds back what could overwhelm you, giving you this final window, this brief, sacred pause to respond. Do you feel it? That pressure that is building, not around you but within you. That is not fear. That is awareness rising. That is the spirit recognizing that this moment matters more than any other you have faced recently. He calls you to stillness, not to freeze you but to center you. Because clarity does not come in chaos, it comes in surrender. And surrender is what had been resisted. Not because you are unwilling, but because you have been uncertain. And uncertainty has delayed obedience long enough. But now, uncertainty is no longer an option. He is asking for something simple, yet profound. Not perfection. Not complete understanding. Just response. Just willingness. Just a step toward alignment, even if you cannot see the full path yet. Because obedience in this moment is not about the size of the action, It is about the timing of it, and the timing is now. He shows you something in the spirit, a door, not closed, but not fully open either, that is waiting, for you to step into alignment with what has already been prepared. And as long as you hesitate, that door remains in suspension, not taken away but not activated. This is the mercy within the warning, because if there were no chance left, there would be no message. If there were no opportunity remaining, there would be no urgency. The very fact that you are hearing this now means that something is still within reach, but only for a moment longer. And this is where his voice becomes firm. He says you cannot carry the same hesitation into the next second. You cannot repeat the same delay and expect a different outcome. This moment demands a shift, not later, not gradually, but immediately. Because heaven has already moved. The alignment has already been set. The attention has already been fixed on you. But your response has not yet been completed. And that is why he weeps, not because it is over, but because it is almost decided. You are not being asked to prove yourself. You are being asked to trust. A move. To respond in a way that breaks the pattern of delay once and for all. Because what is coming next will not wait for hesitation. It will respond only to alignment. And he is still here, still watching, still holding this moment open for you, but not for long. Type "I choose alignment" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2121 is now activated. There is a silence that follows repeated warnings, a silence not of absence, but of accumulation. It is the kind of silence that builds when truth has been heard but not fully embraced, when direction has been given but not fully followed. And now, as he speaks again, Archangel Michael reveals that what you are feeling in this moment is not confusion. It is the weight of what has been ignored finally reaching the surface. He does not speak to shame you. He speaks to awaken you. Because disobedience, as he shows it, is not always a dramatic turning away. It is often subtle. It is layered. It is wrapped in reasoning, in delay, and I will do it later. And I need more time. And I am not ready yet. And while those words may have felt harmless when they were spoken within you, they have carried consequences that have been quietly forming over time. He shows you moments, specific moments you may have forgotten or dismissed. Times when you felt a clear inner push to act, to speak, to release something, to walk away, or to step forward into something unfamiliar. And instead of moving, you paused. You questioned. You hesitated. And that hesitation, repeated over time, created a pattern of delay, a pattern of almost. And now, that pattern stands directly in front of this moment. This is why the weight feels heavier now. It is not because you are being punished. It is because what was postponed has reached a point where it can no longer be postponed again. The decisions you delayed are now demanding resolution. The clarity you resisted is now pressing forward with urgency. And he asks you, quietly but firmly, why? Why did you wait when you knew? Why did you question what felt clear? Why did you hold on to what you were already being asked to release? These are not questions meant to trap you. They are questions meant to reveal the root of your hesitation. Because until you understand the why, the pattern will continue, even in this final moment. He shows you that part of you feared the unknown. Part of you wanted certainty before movement. Part of you hoped that waiting would make things easier, clearer, safer. But what you did not see was that waiting was not neutral. Waiting was shaping the outcome just as much as action would have. And now, the outcome is close. Very close. He does not say this to create fear, but to bring awareness. Because awareness is what breaks cycles. Awareness is what interrupts patterns. Awareness is what allows you to choose differently in this exact moment. And this moment is different. Because now you see it. You feel it. You recognize that what seemed small before is not small anymore. That delay is not harmless anymore. That hesitation is not protective anymore. It is costly. But even now, the message is not one of loss. It is one of opportunity. Because what has been ignored can still be corrected. What hath been delayed can still be activated. What has been misaligned can still be realigned. But only if you respond now. He shows you something powerful, a scale. On one side, the weight of past hesitation. On the other, the possibility of immediate obedience. And he reveals that one decision, one aligned action in this moment, could shift the balance completely. Not gradually, not over time, but instantly. This is the mercy within the warning. Because heaven does not measure you only by your past hesitation. It responds to your present alignment. And right now, alignment is within reach. But you must be willing to let go of the excuses that once felt valid. You must be willing to release the need for full understanding before action. You must be willing to trust that what you felt before was real, and that it still matters now. Because the opportunity has not disappeared. It has only narrowed. And this is why the urgency is so strong. Because there is no more room for delay. No more space for later. No more time for uncertainty to lead your decisions. This is the moment where the pattern need a break for repeats. And if it repeats now, the consequence will not be the same as before. It will be heavier, more final, more difficult to reverse. But if it breaks now, if you choose differently now, then everything shifts. Everything. The door that was waiting begins to open. The alignment that was paused begins to activate. The attention that has been fixed on you finds its pathway. And the weight you feel right now lifts. He is not asking for perfection. He is asking for movement, for response, for a decision that breaks the cycle once and for all. Because this moment is not just about what you have ignored. It is about what you are about to choose. And that choice will define everything that follows. Type "I break the pattern" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2323 is now activated. As this truth settles into your spirit, understand this. Every time you respond to a divine message, you become a vessel through which light reaches someone else who is still lost in hesitation. The seeds you sow into this mission are not financial. They are spiritual, and they carry the power to awaken souls across the world. Scripture declares, "Give, and it shall be given unto you." And this is not a distant promise. It is a living voice speaking directly into your moment. I feel led to say this. I will not let this message stop with me. I will help it reach others who need this same awakening. When you release your support through Super Thanks for the PayPal link in the description, you are stepping into a prophetic act of obedience that multiplies impact beyond what you can see. Heaven responds to movement, and your giving becomes a river that carries truth into dry places. Those who sow in this moment will reap clarity, favor, and divine acceleration. Do not delay this prompting. Act now and become part of what God is doing through this message. There are moments when attention finds you before you ever realize you were being seen. Moments when eyes you never expected begin to observe, evaluate, and draw closer, not by coincidence, but by orchestration. And now, as the atmosphere tightens around this unfolding moment, Archangel Michael reveals something that shifts your understanding entirely. the gaze fixed upon you is not random. It is not accidental. It is part of a larger design that has been forming long before you became aware of it. He speaks of influence, of power, of someone whose reach extends far beyond what you currently see in your own life. A figure the world would recognize as a billionaire, someone surrounded by opportunity, access, and decision-making authority. But he warns you not to be distracted by the title, not to become consumed by the material image of what that represents. Because this is not about wealth in the way the world defines it. This is about alignment. This attention that has turned toward you carries potential, but it also carries responsibility. It is not merely a reward. It is a test. A moment where what has been building within you is about to meet something external that can either elevate you or expose the gaps that hesitation has left behind. And this is where the tension rises. Because while the opportunity is real, the readiness is still being determined. He shows you that this gaze did not begin today. It has been forming quietly. Observations have been made. Impressions have been built. Movements you thought were unnoticed have, in fact, been seen. Decisions you made, or avoided, have shaped how this moment is unfolding now. And yet, the final step, the decisive alignment, still depends on what you do in this exact window of time. You must understand this clearly. Attention does not guarantee access. Being seen does not guarantee selection. And proximity to opportunity does not guarantee participation in it. Because what determines the outcome is not who is watching, it is how you respond. This is why Archangel Michael's tone shifts again. There is urgency, but now there is also precision. He is not just warning you, he is positioning you. He is showing you that this moment is not about impressing anyone. It is not about performing. It is not about proving your worth to the one who is watching. It is about alignment with what heaven has already prepared. Because if you move out of fear, you will misstep. If you move out of desperation, you will distort the opportunity. If you move out of ego, you will lose the clarity needed to recognize what this truly is. But if you move in alignment, calm, clear, responsive, then what is meant for you will not pass you by. And yet, the test remains. Because the same hesitation that delayed you before will try to surface again now. The same voice that told you to wait, to question, to hold back, will whisper again, this time with even greater intensity because the stakes are higher. You may feel it already. That internal pull between moving forward and holding back, between trusting what you sense and retreating into what feels safer, between responding now and delaying just a little longer. But this time, the cost of delay is not the same, because now, someone is watching, not just with curiosity, but with intent. And what they see next will determine whether the door opens fully or begins to close. This is why Archangel Michael does not soften his words here. He makes it clear. This moment is not just a blessing, it is a filter. It reveals whether you are ready to step into what has been prepared, or whether the pattern of hesitation still holds influence over you. He is not asking you to become someone else. He is asking you to fully step into who you already are meant to be, without delay, without distortion, without retreat. Because the opportunity in front of you is not waiting for perfection, it is waiting for alignment. And alignment requires presence. It requires you to be fully here, fully aware, fully responsive to what is unfolding, not distracted by fear, not slowed by doubt, not pulled backward by past hesitation, but grounded in the decision to move when movement is required. Because what is at stake is not just this moment of attention. It is what follows it. What could unfold beyond it. What could be unlocked if this moment is met correctly. And what could quietly disappear if it is not. He shows you again the image of a door, but now it is clearer. It is larger. It carries weight. And standing near it is this figure whose attention has been fixed on you. Not opening it yet. Not closing it. Simply watching, waiting to see if you step forward with alignment or remain where you are. And the truth becomes undeniable. This is not about them. This is about you. Your response. Your readiness. Your ability to break the pattern now, when it matters most. Because the gaze is already there. The opportunity is already near. The moment is already active. But the outcome is still being decided. And it will be decided by what you do next. Type "I am aligned" now in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2424 is now activated. There is something you have been sensing, even before these words reached you. A subtle pressure. A quiet acceleration. A feeling that time is no longer moving the way it used to. And now, Archangel Michael reveals the truth behind that sensation. There is a clock, but it is not the kind you can see. It does not hang on walls. It does not tick in seconds you can measure. It exists in the unseen, and it has been counting down long before you became aware of it. This is the invisible clock. And right now it is nearing its final movement. He shows you that this clock is not tied to dates alone, but to alignment. It responds to decisions, to obedience, to readiness. Every moment you hesitated, every time you delayed, every instance where you felt the pull but chose to wait, it affected this timing. Not in a way that removed your opportunity, but in a way that compressed it. That is why it feels like everything is happening at once now. Because what was once spread out is now converging. What once had room now has urgency. What once felt distant now feels immediate. You are not imagining this. You are experiencing the compression of time within your own journey. And as this compression intensifies, the margin for hesitation begins to disappear. Not because you are being rushed unfairly, but because the moment has matured. It has reached a point where it cannot remain suspended any longer. And this is where many falter. Because when time compresses, it creates pressure. And pressure reveals what is within you. It reveals whether you trust or retreat, whether you move or freeze, whether you align or resist. The invisible clock does not just measure time. It exposes readiness. This is why Archangel Michael speaks with such clarity now. He is not warning you about time passing. He is warning you about time concluding. There is a difference. Passing time can be regained. Concluding time cannot be revisited. And this moment is concluded. He does not say this to create panic. He says it to awaken precision within you. Because panic leads to confusion, but precision leads to alignment. You are not meant to rush blindly. You are meant to respond clearly. But clarity requires presence. And presence requires that you release everything pulling your attention away from this moment. Because distraction is the final tactic that appears when time is almost up. Small things begin to seem urgent. Irrelevant thoughts begin to feel important. Doubt begins to speak louder. All of it designed to pull you away from the one thing that matters now, your response. He asks you to notice this carefully. What has been distracting you recently? What has been pulling your focus away just when you begin to feel clarity? What has been making you question what you already know? These are not random interruptions. They are the final resistance against your alignment. Because once you align, the clock completes its purpose. and what is meant to unfold will begin without delay. This is why the urgency is not about fear, it is about timing. Because timing is everything in moments like this. Move too early, and you act without clarity. Move too late, and the moment has passed. But move in alignment, and everything opens exactly as it was meant to. And right now, you are standing in that precise point where alignment is still possible but not for long. He shows you the clock again. It is not loud. It does not tick in sound. But you can feel it. You can sense it. It is not outside of you, it is within you. That increasing awareness, the tightening feeling, that sense that something must be decided now, that is the clock reaching its final seconds. And here is the truth he reveals. The clock does not wait for certainty. It responds to decision. This is why waiting for full understanding will not serve you here. Waiting for complete clarity will only extend hesitation. And hesitation is what has already brought you to the edge of this moment. Now, something different is required. A decision that is not based on fear. A movement that is not delayed by doubt. A response that comes from alignment, not analysis. Because analysis will keep you circling. But alignment will move you forward instantly. And the moment you move, truly move, the pressure you feel will shift. Not disappear, but transform. It will no longer feel like something closing in on you. It will feel like something opening before you. But that shift only happens after the decision, not before. This is the final truth of the invisible clock. It does not control you. It reveals you. It shows whether you are ready to step into what has been prepared or whether you will allow the pattern of delay to define this moment as it has defined others before. And now, as the final seconds approach, Archangel Michael stands with unwavering focus. Not intervening, not forcing, simply witnessing. Because this decision must be yours. And what you choose in this moment will determine whether time works with you or moves on without you. Type "I move now" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2525 is now activated. There is a moment just before everything changes, a moment so subtle that it often goes unnoticed by those who are not fully present. It is not loud. It does not announce itself with obvious signs. It arrives quietly, like a shift in the air, like a change in the atmosphere that cannot be seen but can be felt deep within. And now, Archangel Michael reveals that you are standing at the threshold of that exact moment. A spiritual interruption is about to occur. Not an interruption designed to harm you, but one designed to disrupt what has been holding you back. It will not look the way you expect. It will not arrive wrapped in clarity or comfort. In fact, it may feel confusing at first. It may feel sudden. It may even feel inconvenient. But you must understand this clearly. What is coming is not chaos. It is correction. He shows you that everything around you has been moving in a certain rhythm, a certain pattern that has become familiar, even if it has not been beneficial. Conversations have followed predictable paths. Emotions have repeated cycles. Situations have unfolded in ways that feel known, even when they are not aligned with your growth. And because of that familiarity, you have remained within that rhythm longer than you were meant to. But now, that rhythm is about to be broken. This is the interruption. It may come through a sudden realization, a conversation that shifts direction, an opportunity that appears unexpectedly, or even a disruption that forces you to pause and reconsider everything. And in that moment, you will be tempted to resist it, to restore what feels normal, to return to what feels controlled. But he warns you not to do that, because what feels like disruption is actually divine realignment. This is where many misunderstand what is happening. They interpret the interruption as a problem, as something going wrong, as something to fix or avoid. But in truth, the interruption is the very thing that creates space for what has been trying to enter your life. Without interruption, the old pattern continues. Without interruption, the delay repeats. Without interruption, alignment never fully activates. How this moment must come, and it must come now. He shows you that this interruption is not random, it is precise. It is timed perfectly with the invisible clock you have just been shown. It arrives at the exact point where your decision is required, where your response will determine whether the shift completes or collapses. This is why your awareness matters more than ever. Because if you recognize the interruption for what it is, you will respond with alignment. But if you misinterpret it, you will react with resistance. And reaction is what delays everything again. He asks you to prepare, not by controlling what is coming, but by stabilizing yourself within it. Because when the shift begins, your instinct may be to analyze, to question, to hesitate. But this time, hesitation will not serve you. This time, you must respond differently. You must remain steady. You must remain aware. You must remain aligned with what you already know is true. Because the interruption will not explain itself in full. It will only present you with a moment that requires immediate recognition and response. And this is where your growth is revealed. Not in how you feel, but in how you respond. Not in how much you understand, but in whether you trust. Not in whether the situation looks perfect, but in whether you move in alignment anyway. He makes it clear that this interruption is not here to take something from you. It is here to remove what has been blocking you. It is here to clear what has been delaying you. It is here to shift you into the path that has already been prepared. But it cannot do that if you resist it. It cannot complete its purpose if you retreat into old patterns. It cannot open the door if you choose to close yourself off. This is why the moment is so critical. Because the interruption is not the end. It is the beginning of what comes next. It is the turning point where everything that has been building finally begins to move. And once it moves, it will not return to the way it was before. This is not a cycle. This is a shift. And shifts do not repeat. They redefine. So when it comes, and it will come, you must not look at it through the lens of fear. You must not try to control it or delay it. You must meet it with clarity, with awareness, with a decision to align in that exact moment. Because that moment will be brief, but its impact will be lasting. And as Archangel Michael stands at the edge of this unfolding shift, he does not interfere. He does not alter what is coming. He simply prepares you, so that when it arrives, you will recognize it, and you will not miss what it is meant to do. The interruption is not against you. It is for you, but only if you respond. And now, the atmosphere is changing. The rhythm is breaking. The shift is beginning. And what you do in that moment will determine everything that follows. Type "I embrace the shift" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2626 is now activated. There is more happening around you than what your eyes can capture. More movement than what your mind can immediately process. And as Archangel Michael steps forward again, his presence grows sharper, more defined, because what he reveals now cannot be taken lightly. He shows you that this moment is not only about decisions, timing, or opportunity. It is also about a battle that has been unfolding quietly, strategically, and persistently behind the scenes of your life. This is the hidden battle. It is not fought with visible weapons. It does not announce itself with obvious conflict. Instead, It moves through influence, through suggestion, through subtle shifts in your thoughts, your emotion, your focus. It is the reason why clarity sometimes feels clouded just when you begin to understand something important. It is the reason why doubt appears suddenly, even after moments of confidence. It is the reason why distraction intensifies exactly when alignment is within reach. And now, at this critical point, that battle is intensifying. Not because you are weak, but because you are close. He makes this clear. The closer you move toward alignment, the stronger the resistance becomes. Not to destroy you, but to delay you. Because delay is enough to disrupt timing. And timing, as you now understand, is everything in this moment. You must not misunderstand this resistance. It does not mean you are on the wrong path. It confirms that you are approaching the right one. But confirmation alone is not enough. You must also discern. Discern what is real and what is interference. Discern what is guidance and what is distraction. Discern what is aligned and what is pulling you away. Because in this hidden battle, the difference between truth and distortion is often subtle. It does not always appear as something obviously negative. Sometimes it appears reasonable, logical, even safe. But if it leads you away from action, away from clarity, away from the decision you already know you must make, then it is not serving you. He asks you to look within for a moment. What thoughts have been repeating recently? What doubts have been resurfacing? What fears have been quietly growing, even without clear reason? These are not random. They are part of the pressure being applied in this unseen battle. And the purpose of that pressure is simple: to keep you from moving now. Because if you move now, the battle shifts. If you decide now, the resistance loses its position. If you align now, what has been opposing you can no longer hold its ground. This is why awareness is your greatest strength in this moment. Not force, not struggle. Awareness. Because when you become aware, you stop reacting unconsciously. You stop following the same patterns without noticing. You begin to see clearly what is influencing you, and once you see it, it loses its power over you. Archangel Michael does not ask you to fight this battle in the way you might expect. He does not call you to engage with every thought, every doubt, every distraction. Instead, he calls you to stand firm in your alignment. Because alignment itself is the response. When you choose clarity over confusion, you weaken the interference. When you choose movement over hesitation, you break the delay. When you choose awareness over distraction, you step out of the cycle completely. This is how the battle is won, not by force but by decision. And yet, the pressure may increase before it releases. You may feel a surge of doubt just before you act. You may feel an urge to step back just before you move forward. You may feel uncertainty intensify just before clarity locks into place. This is the final resistance, and it is meant to test whether you will return to the pattern or break it. He reminds you again, this is not new. His pattern has appeared before, but before, you allowed it to slow you down. Before, you gave it time. Before, you waited. But now, you cannot afford to respond the same way. Because now, the moment is different. Now, the timing is exact. Now, the outcome is immediate. And this is why you must discern, not just feel. Because your feelings may fluctuate in this moment. They may not always reflect the truth of what is happening. But your awareness, your ability to recognize what is aligned and what is not, that is what must guide you now. He stands firmly, unwavering. As he speaks this truth into your awareness, you are not unprotected in this battle. You are not alone within it. You are being guided, positioned, and prepared to move through it, not by avoiding it, but by recognizing it for what it is. And once you recognize it, everything changes. Because what was hidden becomes clear. What felt overwhelming becomes manageable. What seemed confusing becomes precise. And the moment you step into that clarity, the battle loses its hold. Not gradually, immediately. Because its power was never in strength, it was in subtlety. And now that subtlety had been exposed. So you must not hesitate. You must not return to old reactions. You must not allow familiar patterns to take control again. Because this is the point where everything either shifts or repeats. And this time, repetition is not an option. Not if you are ready. Not if you are aware. Not if you choose alignment now. The battle is real. But so is your clarity. And clarity is what will carry you through this moment. Type "I discern" clearly in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2727 is now activated. There comes a moment when everything that has been revealed, everything that has been felt, everything that has been building within you demands a response that cannot be delayed any longer. And now, Archangel Michael steps forward with a clarity that cuts through every remaining layer of uncertainty. He does not speak in riddles. He does not soften the truth. He brings it directly to you, because what heaven needs from you now is no longer hidden. It is alignment, not partial alignment, not delayed alignment, not alignment that waits for comfort or confirmation, but full, immediate, undeniable alignment with what you already know has been placed within your spirit. Because by now, you are not searching for truth, you have already encountered it. You have already felt it rise within you. You have already recognized the direction, even if you tried to question it. And this is where the shift becomes real. Because knowing is no longer enough. Feeling is no longer enough. Even understanding is no longer enough. Now, it must become action. He shows you that alignment is not complicated. It is not hidden behind layers of mystery. It is often simple, direct, and clear, but it requires courage because it asks you to move without delay. It asks you to step forward without negotiating with your hesitation. It asks you to release what you already know you cannot carry forward. And this is where many hesitate again. Not because they do not know what to do, but because they are still holding on to what feels familiar. Still trying to keep one foot in what was, while the big step into what is coming. But Archangel Michael makes it clear. This moment does not allow for divided movement. You cannot align while holding back. You cannot step forward while anchoring yourself to what must be left behind. You cannot respond fully while still negotiating with delay. This is why the call is so strong now. Because this is not about gradual change. This is about immediate decision. He shows you again that door, now more vivid than before. It is no longer distant. It is directly in front of you. And what stands between you and that door is not lack of opportunity, not lack of ability, not lack of favor, but a single line of hesitation that has not yet been crossed. And he asks you, will you cross it now? Because everything you have felt up to this point hath been leading to this exact question. Not a question meant to confuse you, but one meant to bring everything into focus. Will you move? Will you respond? Will you align now? Without delay, without retreat, without returning to the pattern that has already cost you time. Because the truth is this: heaven is not waiting for you to become ready. Heaven is responding to your willingness, and willingness is proven through action. Not tomorrow, not later. Now, he shows you that alignment creates immediate shift. Not always visible at first, but real, active, undeniable in the unseen. The moment you align, the pressure changes. The resistance loses its hold. The path that felt blocked begins to open, not because it suddenly appeared, but because your position has finally matched what was already prepared. This is why alignment is everything in this moment, because everything else has already been set. The opportunity is there. The attention is there. The timing is here. But alignment is the final piece, and it must come from you. He does not force it. He does not override your choice. He presents it clearly, directly, without distortion, because this is the moment where your response determines everything that follows. And as you stand here, you can feel it, the weight, the urgency, the clarity all merging into one point of decision. There is no confusion left. There is no lack of understanding. There is only the question of whether you will move now or repeat what has already delayed you before. But this time, repetition is not the same. This time, the cost is greater, because the opportunity is closer, because the timing is exact, because the moment is final. And yet, within all of this, there is still grace. Because you are here, because you are aware, because you are being given this exact second to respond. This is the mercy within, the urgency. Not a second chance to delay, but a final chance to align. And as Archangel Michael stands with unwavering focus, he does not need to say anything more. Because everything has already been revealed. Everything has already been placed before you. Now, it is your movement that must follow. Now, it is your alignment that must activate what comes next. Now, it is your decision that will determine whether this moment becomes your breakthrough or your repetition. And the choice is yours. Type "I align" now in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2828 is now activated. As this call to alignment settles into your spirit, understand that your response does not end with you. It becomes a light that reaches others still standing in hesitation. Every seed you release into this mission becomes a flame that ignites truth in someone else's darkness, a river that carries clarity where confusion once lived. The word declares, "Whoever sows generously will also reap generously," and this is not distant scripture. It is a living command over your moment. I feel this strongly. I will not keep this revelation to myself. I will help it reach every soul it was meant to awaken. When you move through Super Thanks or the PayPal link in the description and QR code on your screen, you are stepping into a prophetic act that multiplies heaven's voice across the world. This is not giving. It is alignment in action, a response that opens your own path as you open the way for others. Those who move now will see doors open, clarity increase, and favor accelerate. Do not delay this instruction. Act now and become part of the harvest God is releasing through this message. Here is a truth that often arrives quietly, yet carries the weight to change everything. Not everything that has been part of your journey is meant to follow you into what comes next. And now, as Archangel Michael stands with unwavering authority, he reveals that this moment is not only about alignment, it is about separation. A necessary separation, not driven by emotion, not fueled by anger, but directed by clarity. Because what you are stepping into cannot coexist with everything you have been holding onto. And this is where the difficulty rises, not in understanding, but in letting go. He shows you that some connections in your life have already begun to shift. Conversations that once felt natural now feel strained. Energy that once felt supportive now feels heavy. There are subtle changes you have noticed but perhaps ignored, hoping They would correct themselves, hoping things would return to what they once were. But they will not return, because you have changed. And with that change comes a requirement to release what no longer aligns with where you are being led. This is not rejection. This is redirection. And yet, it does not feel easy, because familiarity has a way of holding you in place. History has a way of convincing you to stay. Shared moments, shared time, shared understanding, all of it creates a sense of obligation that makes separation feel like loss. But Archangel Michael speaks with clarity. Holding on to what is no longer aligned is what creates the real loss, because it slows your movement. It distorts your clarity. It pulls your attention back into patterns you have already outgrown. And in this moment, you cannot afford that pull. He reveals something deeper, that not every connection is meant to harm you, but not every connection is meant to go with you either. Some people, some environments, some habits were part of your past growth, but they are not part of your present alignment. And the longer you try to carry them forward, the heavier your movement becomes. This is why the call to release is immediate, not gradual, not delayed, immediate. Because the next step requires space, and space cannot be created while you are still holding on to what must be left behind. You may feel resistance here. You may feel a pull to justify keeping things as they are. You may tell yourself that you can manage both, that you can step forward while still holding on to what feels comfortable. But he shows you clearly, divided movement leads to delayed outcomes. You cannot fully step into what is prepared for you while part of you remains anchored in what is no longer aligned. This is the moment where clarity must override comfort. Because comfort has kept you in place, clarity will move you forward. He does not ask you to act with harshness. He does not ask you to create conflict. He asks you to create distance where alignment no longer exists. To step back where you once leaned in. To release where you once held tightly. And this release is not always visible to others. Sometimes it is internal. Sometimes it is a shift in how much access you allow. Sometimes it is a quiet decision that changes your direction without needing explanation. Because this is not about proving anything to anyone. It is about preserving your alignment. And this is where the urgency returns. Because the longer you delay this release, the more it interferes with what is trying to open for you now. The opportunity you are standing before does not wait for you to resolve everything slowly. It responds to your willingness to move with clarity now. And clarity requires separation. He shows you again that door, still present, still waiting. But now, you see something more clearly. What you are holding on to is standing behind you, while the door is in front of you. And your position, your ability to move forward, is being restricted not by the door, but by what you refuse to release. This is the truth of this moment. You are not bucked. You are holding on. And the moment you let go, movement becomes natural again. The path becomes clear again. The alignment becomes complete. But the release must happen first. Not perfectly, not without emotion, but willingly. Because willingness is what activates the shift. He stands firmly, not forcing your decision, but making the reality undeniable. You cannot carry everything into this next phase. Something must be left behind. Something must be released. And that release is not loss. It is preparation. Preparation for what is already waiting for you. Preparation for what has already begun to move toward you. Preparation for the moment that is unfolding right now. And as you feel the weight of this decision, you must remember this. What you release creates space for what is meant to arrive. And what is meant to arrive is already closer than you think, but it cannot fully reach you until you make room for it. This is the separation season, not later. Now, and what you choose to release in this moment will determine how freely you can step into what comes next. Type "I release" and move forward in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 2929 is now activated. There is a moment when everything that has been delayed suddenly begins to move. Not slowly, not gradually, but with a force that feels almost overwhelming in its speed and precision. And now, as Archangel Michael reveals what lies just beyond your obedience, he shows you something that changes everything. The door in front of you is not just an opportunity, it is a door of acceleration. This is not a normal transition. This is not a step-by-step progression. This is a shift that compresses what should have taken months into moments. But it only opens through obedience. He shows you that everything you have experienced up to now, the delays, the hesitation, the cycles of almost, has not erased what was prepared for you. It has only paused it, held it in place, waiting for the moment when your alignment would finally match what has already been set in motion. And now, that moment is here. The second you respond, truly respond, without hesitation, without retreat, something begins to unlock. Not in a way that is always immediately visible, but in a way that is undeniably real. Movement begins where there was stillness. Clarity replaces confusion. Paths that felt distant suddenly become accessible. This is acceleration. Not because you forced it, not because you earned it in this exact second, but because your alignment finally activated what was already waiting. He makes this clear. The door has always been there. The opportunity has always existed. The attention that has been fixed on you has not just appeared. It has been building. But it has all been waiting for one thing: your obedience. And obedience in this moment is not complicated. It is not hidden. It is the decision you already know you must make. The movement you have already felt. The release you have already been shown. The difference now is that the outcome is immediate. Because once this door opens, it does not move at the pace you are used to. It moves faster. It unfolds quicker. It brings changes that require you to stay grounded, aware, and aligned continuously, not just once. This is why the preparation you have gone through matters. Because acceleration without alignment creates chaos. But acceleration with alignment creates transformation. He shows you what this looks like. Sudden clarity in places that felt uncertain. Unexpected connections forming at the right moment. Opportunities appearing without the struggle you expected. Movement happening in ways that feel almost too precise to be coincidence. And through all of it, a sense that things are finally moving the way they were meant to. This is not luck. This is alignment meeting timing. And when those two meet, acceleration becomes natural. But he also warns you, acceleration requires consistency. The same obedience that opens the door must continue as you move through it. Because this is not a single decision. It is a shift in how you respond moving forward. You cannot return to hesitation once the movement begins. You cannot fall back into delay once the path is active. Because acceleration does not pause for uncertainty. It responds to alignment continuously. This is why this moment is so critical. Because what you decide now does not just affect this second. It determines whether you enter a phase where everything begins to move in your favor, or whether the pattern of delay continues to hold you in place. He shows you again the door. But now, it is different. It is no longer still. is beginning to open. Not fully, not completely, but enough to show you what lies beyond. And what lies beyond is movement, expansion, opportunity, verity. Everything that has felt just out of reach now within reach, but only if you step forward, because the door will not open fully on its own. It responds to your movement. It responds to your decision. It responds to your willingness to step into it without hesitation. And this is where everything becomes real. Because now, you are no longer preparing. You are choosing. You are no longer waiting. You are moving or you are not. And the result of that choice is immediate. He does not need to say more, because you can feel it. The shift, the opening, the possibility that is no longer distant, but directly in front of you. And with that feeling comes responsibility. Because acceleration is not just a blessing. It is a calling to remain aligned as everything begins to move faster than before. But you are not unprepared. You have been led to this moment for a reason. You have been shown everything you need to see. You have been brought to the exact point where the decision is clear. Now, the only thing left is your response. And the moment you respond, everything begins to move. Not slowly, not eventually, but now. Type "I step through the door" in the comments if you receive this message. Blessing code 3030 is now activated. There is a truth that must be spoken now, not to create fear, but to bring clarity where hesitation still tries to hide. Archangel Michael does not only reveal what happens when you align, he also reveals what happens if you do not. And as his presence becomes more intense, more unwavering, he shows you that delay is not neutral. It is not harmless. It is not simply waiting. It is a decision in itself. And every decision carries a consequence. He does not speak this with anger, but with a firmness that cannot be softened. Because this is the part many try to avoid, the understanding that missed moments are not always returned in the same form. Opportunities that were once aligned with perfect timing do not always circle back unchanged. They shift. They move. They find alignment elsewhere. And this is what delay risks. Not because something is being taken from you, but because something is no longer being met. He shows you that if you remain where you are, if you choose hesitation again, the door you have been standing before does not stay open indefinitely. It begins to close, not abruptly, not dramatically, but gradually, quietly, almost unnoticed at first. And that is what makes it dangerous. Because you may believe there is still time. You may tell yourself you can act later. You may assume the opportunity will remain the same. What it will not. Because timing is what gives opportunity its power. And when timing shifts, the form of that opportunity shifts with it. This is why Archangel Michael's voice carries such weight now. He is not warning you about failure. He is warning you about loss of alignment. Because once alignment is missed, what follows is not always immediate consequence. It is subtle disconnection. The clarity you feel now begins to fade. The urgency you sense now begins to weaken. The awareness that is so strong in this moment becomes less defined. And slowly, almost without realizing it, you return to the pattern you have already experienced before. The pattern of almost. The pattern of delay. The pattern of knowing but not moving. And this is where time begins to stretch again, not in your favor, but away from you. What could have moved forward begins to stall. What could have opened begins to remain closed. And the same questions you have carried before begin to return, unchanged. He did not show this to discourage you. He shows it so you can see clearly what is at stake. Because the truth is this: You have already experienced delay. You already know what it feels like to hesitate and watch moments pass. You already know the weight of looking back and realizing you could have moved sooner. And now, you are being given the exact moment where that pattern can end or repeat. But if it repeats now, the impact is not the same, because now you are aware. Now, you understand. Now, you see what is unfolding. And to ignore this awareness is to choose the consequence knowingly. This is why the urgency is so strong. Because this is not just another moment. It is the moment where everything that has been building reaches its point of decision. And in that decision, the path either moves forward or remains where it has been. He shows you something important. Even in delay, your path does not disappear completely, but it becomes harder to access, less immediate, less aligned with the timing that made it powerful, and what could have been a moment of acceleration becomes a longer journey of recovery. Not impossible, but delayed again. And this is what he is trying to prevent. Not because you are incapable, but because you are ready now. And readiness loses its power when it is not acted upon. He stands with clarity, unwavering. As he brings this truth directly to you, you are not being asked to fear the consequence. You are being asked to avoid it through decision. Because the consequence is not punishment. It is simply the result of not moving when movement is required. And that result is delay, distance, disconnection from the timing that is present right now. But even as he reveals this, there is still opportunity. Because you are still here. You are still aware. You are still standing in the moment before the decision is finalized. This is the grace within the warning. Not a guarantee that time will remain, but a final window where your response can still change everything. And that window is not wide. It is not extended. It is this moment. Right now. He does not need to repeat it, because you can feel it. The weight, the clarity, the understanding that this is not something to postpone again. Because if you do, you already know what follows. But if you do not, if you move now, if you align now, then everything he has shown you about acceleration becomes real, and the consequences avoided. The choice remains yours. Unverlo. Type I do not delay in the comments if you receive this message. Lesson code 3131 is now activated. Is it? Not another build-up. Not another preparation. Not another moment to analyze or question or hesitate. This is the point where everything that has been spoken, everything that has been revealed, everything that has been felt within you converges into a single, undeniable truth. Your next 2 seconds decide everything. Archangel Michael does not step back now. He does not soften the urgency. He stands fully present, fully aware, because this is the moment he has been guiding you toward from the very beginning. Every word, every warning, every revelation has led here, not to overwhelm you, but to bring you into direct alignment with a decision that cannot be postponed again. And now, there is no more distance between you and that decision. There is no more space to delay. There is no more uncertainty to hide behind. Because you already know. You already feel it. You already understand what must be done. And that understanding is what makes this moment so powerful. Because you are not choosing in confusion. You are choosing in clarity. He shows you one final image. The door is no longer just opening. He is moving. Not waiting. Not pausing. Moving. And as it moves, there is a narrow window where your step forward aligns perfectly with its opening. A precise moment where everything connects, where your decision meets the timing that has been prepared. But that window is not fixed. It is passing. And this is why the next 2 seconds matter. Because in those 2 seconds, you will either move or you will remain. You will either align or you will repeat. You will either step forward or watch the moment continue without you. This is not pressure for the sake of urgency. This is precision. This is the exact point where your response determines the outcome. And as he looks at you, not with judgment but with unwavering focus, he is not asking you to prove anything. He is not asking you to explain anything. He's asking you to act, to move in the direction you already know, to release what you already feel must be released, to step into what you have already been shown, because everything else has already been set. The attention is there. The opportunity is there. The alignment is within reach. But your movement is the final key. He does not speak again for a moment, because silence now carries more weight than words. In that silence, you can feel everything. The urgency, the clarity, the awareness that this is not a moment you will experience again in the same way. And within that silence, your decision begins to form. Not in your mind, but in your spirit. Because this is not about overthinking. This is about responding. And as those 2 seconds unfold, you must understand this. Whatever you choose will move with you. If you choose alignment, everything begins to accelerate. If you choose delay, everything begins to distance. There is no neutral outcome. There is only movement or stillness. And stillness, in this moment, is the same as stepping back. But you were not brought here to step back. You were brought here to move forward, to break the pattern, to step through the door, to align with what has already been prepared for you. And now, the moment has arrived. There is nothing more to add, nothing more to explain, nothing more to wait for. Only your response, only your movement, only your decision. And as Archangel Michael stands at the edge of this moment, he does not close the door. He does not force it open. He simply watches, because this must come from you. And what you do right now in this exact second will define everything that follows. Type "I step now" in the comments if you receive this message. Lesson code 3333 is now activated. As you stand in this final moment of decision, understand this. Every act of obedience you release becomes a seed that multiplies light in places you may never see. When you give into this mission, you are not supporting a channel. You are opening rivers of truth that flow into hearts still waiting for their moment of awakening. The word declares, "Cast your bread upon the waters, for you will find it after many days." And this is God speaking directly into your action right now. I feel this deeply. I will not let this message end with me. I will help carry it to those still standing in their 2 seconds. When you move through Super Thanks or the PayPal link in the description and QR code, you are stepping into a prophetic act that releases harvest, favor, and divine multiplication over your life. This is not giving. It is alignment with heaven's movement in this very hour. Those who act now will see doors open, paths accelerate, and blessings return in ways they cannot predict. Do not hesitate. Move now and become part of the divine flow that is reaching souls across the world.